Okie dokie, boys and girls, it is day 302 of bulking to 75 kilos with calisthenics only. And today, I'm sore as fuck because, well, yesterday I had an insane leg workout, 500 reps with what I realized now was not just 52 kilos, it was 54 because I loaded the dumbbells incorrectly, but nonetheless, I'm sore as hell, like this entire front area of my legs and even in between, it's just destroyed. My shoulders are destroyed as well. Turns out if you put 50 plus kilos repeatedly on your shoulders, your traps are gonna get sore. But you know, today my CNS, my central nervous system, is feeling it. You know, when you do a hard workout, right? It's not only the body parts that you are training. So in my case, the legs, but it could also be the chest. If the workout is actually insane, it will affect your entire body. That's why you cannot, for example, train planche in front of it at the same time and progress as fast as you would on one of them, right? If you do them together, because you have to spend energy on both and they're gonna affect each other, even though the muscles are different. But nonetheless, trainings like yesterday, sometimes you need them, you know? If you're always doing training, you know, you're feeling good, you're in your comfort zone, you know the next day you're gonna be recovered, well, you're not gonna make a lot of gains. Well, as a beginner, you might make some gains, definitely. Start slow as a beginner, but as you progress, you know, once in a while, you have to start challenging yourself. You have to do things that maybe you're a bit scared of, right? And you're gonna have these crazy workouts that maybe don't directly make sense scientifically, right? But your body is gonna have to adapt to it nonetheless. If you present your body with a challenge, your body is gonna have to adapt, you know? If I do 500 reps of the squat, my body's gonna be like, what the fuck, you know? What the hell is going on? I have to do something. The alarm bells are gonna trigger. How can I prepare myself next time for 25 sets of 20 reps with 54 kilos, right? How the fuck am I gonna manage that? Your body is gonna try something desperate, you know, to recover, to come back stronger. But if you're always doing, you know, these, I guess, feel-good workouts, you know, just getting a slight burn and then ending your set, well, your body doesn't really go into a panic mode, you know. It's like, oh, a quick patch up, that's it. But it doesn't really grow a lot stronger, which I guess, you know, at least in my case, strength is what I'm after, you know. The bulk, putting on muscle, that's a nice side effect, which comes from training hard, but the real reason I'm training hard, or at least, yeah, I feel like I train hard, but I can probably train even harder. In the future, I'll think of right now as not training hard, but, you know, the reason I do it is to get stronger. But anyway, feeling it, definitely feeling it, and I'm gonna feel it for a couple more days. And today we have another leg workout actually, because, well, I split up my leg days. I do push-pull for upper body and then push-pull for lower body, basically. So yesterday was a push day for my legs. I did my quadriceps, which is the pushing muscle, but you also have, you know, the bicep of your leg, basically, the hamstring, which pulls your leg. That's what I'm gonna do today, and it's gonna be some Nordic curls. You know, I don't plan anything insane today. Rather, I'm just gonna work my way up with a longer warm-up and see if I'm feeling okay, if I'm feeling up to the task. But if all goes well, I'll be doing some sets of 8 Nordic curls. Now, there is a specific reason that I'm doing 8 Nordic curls, and it's not, you know, because that's the hypertrophy rep range. It's more so because at the moment, my best record for most Nordic curls in one workout is 36 reps, you know. I think it was like 1 warm-up set and then 5 sets of 7. So I want to gradually build up to 5 sets of 8. You know, I just want to basically become stronger, right? Getting stronger is the goal. So if I can do a bit more reps for 5 sets, that means I've gotten stronger, which means I'm heading in the right direction. So that's the goal of today. I'll just try a couple sets. My PR is 3 sets. So if I do even 3 sets and then 1 rep, I have a new PR. That's what I'm aiming for. Let's go. Alright, fuck. If you counted, that was a bit more than 8 reps. It was 10. Not because I'm feeling strong, but because I'm feeling weak. I'm feeling too weak to do more than one set of 8 reps with a Nordic curl. So while I was doing the set, I just thought to myself, like, hey, let's just keep it to one set, but let's do a couple more reps, you know. This is a longer set than I'm used to. It's gonna be a good stimulus for endurance, but at the same time, I'm gonna keep it to one set, keep down the volume, so that I can recover from yesterday's workout. Improvise, adapt, overcome. But yeah, it's not because I tell you to train hard that you have to be reckless. You have to be aware of what your body is able to recover from, or you have to be aware when your body is recovering. For me, you know, I'm recovering from yesterday's workout. I went very hard, and I know that I'm capable of recovering from that workout, but I'm also aware that it's gonna take a while. So I'm not gonna push anything. Instead, I'm gonna do some assisted reps, half reps, so only the bottom part, and go from there. Yeah, so these are some assisted Nordic curls. Basically, on the way up, I push with my fingers, but on the way down, I slowly pull away my fingers so that the assistance becomes less. And by doing so, more pressure will be put on my hamstrings, and I'm getting a really good negative movement controlled down all the way to the bottom to train the Nordic curl. This is really, in my opinion, just a shortcut to unlocking the Nordic curl. It's how I unlocked the Nordic curl safely, because, you know, I did unlock the Nordic curl before without doing this method, but it wasn't very safe, and I would also, like, always end up injuring myself. But this one, it allowed me to just build a base stably, in a stable way, and basically go from there. Holy fuck. Okay, so I'm doing some hip extensions. I was hoping to go for 3 sets of 14, which would be a big PR, but 11 reps is the limit at the moment. And well, that does mean that I'm quite affected by yesterday's workout, to no surprise. But, you know, does that mean that you have to skip everything? No, it doesn't, you know. There's always something you can do, and yes, recovery is very important, but you also have to make sure that, you know, during that recovery period, those couple days, you have to make sure that those couple days, that they don't turn into weeks, that they don't turn into you being a lazy sack of shit, you know, to see it not so nicely. But, you know, you have to find that balance. Yes, you have to recover, but you also have to make sure that it's not your mind telling you to slack off. So yes, I could end the workout, you know, because, oh, I feel weak on the Nordic curl and I feel weak on the hip extensions, but, you know, some part of me is telling me, like, hey, these hip extensions, they are hard, but they are worth it, you know. These hip extensions, I started doing them to basically heal my hip, to make my hip feel better, to prevent injury. So they have something of value as well, you know, they add to the workout. And yes, they are gonna suck, but if I want to push recovery, you know, skipping your workout is not the only option. You have other options. You know, eat more, eat healthier, sleep more, you know. Don't watch blue screens before you go to bed to improve your sleep quality. those are also ways to recover quicker. So I'm gonna invest on those ways so that I can still do the hip extensions and feel like I did a good workout today. But yeah, 3 sets of 14 is not gonna happen because, well, my first set was 11 reps and that was my max. But I'm just gonna do 2 more sets of this and yeah, see where I end up basically, you know. There's no pressure. I just have to give my 100% of the day. You know, give your best all the time, you know, do your best every day. But sometimes your best is gonna be less than the day before. That's just something you have to accept. But eventually, you know, you have ups and downs, and they turn into a diagonal slope going upwards over time. That's the most important part. All right, let's do set number 2. I think it's about time already. Yeah, there we go. Okie dokie, that's it for today's workout. And there is one more thing that I should probably mention is when you have that horsecock workout, you know, going all the way to your limit, and the next day you wake up, you're tired as shit, you don't feel well rested, you're sore, every step you take hurts. When you sit on the toilet, you know, you have to support yourself, or maybe it was an upper body workout, you know, and you can't move your arms anymore. When you're in that situation, your entire body is sore. Soreness is not a sign of weakness, you know. It's a sign of strength in your mind, because, you know, you got yourself to that point, you know. No one could do it for you. You had to push yourself through that difficult workout to become as sore as you are today. It was your mind directing you into your goals, you know, towards your goals, towards becoming stronger, towards achieving whatever you want to achieve. So take some pride in it, you know, be happy that you are sore, because it means that you're making progress, you know. When you go sit on the toilet and you like fall down on the toilet seat because you can't support yourself, when you go up those stairs, when you cycle to school or work, whatever, and every pedal, every step on the stairs, it hurts, you know, you're not able to go down the stairs because the shock is just too heavy on the quadriceps. Or when you take a glass of water and your shoulder is aching with muscle soreness, be happy, you know, you did that, no one else. So that's it for today's workout, and yeah, very happy with how it went. Of course, not the result I had hoped for. I had hoped to magically be able to set PR still, but hey, that's just gonna have to wait for next time, you know. The good thing about this whole training situation, or whatever in life actually, you know, you have multiple attempts. It's not because you fail somewhere. That's not a failure, you know, that's an attempt. You attempted it once, or maybe twice, or maybe 100 times, but you can still go for attempt number 101, you know, and basically go until you achieve what you want to achieve. But I'm gonna head downstairs, have some dinner, winner chicken dinner, I guess they say, or they don't. It doesn't matter. I'm gonna have dinner, and I'll see you tomorrow for a push day.